The latest She-Hulk trailer has just been released, and we can finally see a closer look at some of Bruce Banner and Jennifer Walters' supporting cast of iconic characters. While many are talking about the two mains, we wanted to take a deeper dive into the Gammaverse. We see the returns of Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, and the debut of Tatiana Maslany as the titular She-Hulk. Throughout the vast comic tenure of the Hulk, however, there have been multiple gamma-irradiated supporting characters to accompany both the Hulk and She-Hulk on their adventures. Many of these characters have served as anything from direct antagonists to full-on allies and lifelong friends of both the Hulk and She-Hulk. So, today we want to have a different video. And stick with us, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's delve into the mini-verse of Gamma characters and explore some of the figures that we are very most likely to see at some point in the future of the Hulk family adventures, as it appears as if the Gammaverse is now finally breaking open. In this video, we will be considering the future of the Hulk franchise as a whole, be it a projected led by Jennifer Walters or Bruce Banner, and we won't be limiting this specifically to the future of one or the other. Perhaps the most notable resurgence from the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie is Emil Blonsky, who was last seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. In the comics, Blonsky's origins are very similar to his on-screen adaptation, as he is a seasoned military veteran who transformed into the grotesque being as a result of gamma radiation. Seeing as the Abomination's MCU origin was covered in the Incredible Hulk film all the way back in 2008, we won't be delving too deeply into his character and his origins right now. While the gamma versions of certain characters have not been seen in the MCU as of yet, there are multiple individuals who have already been set up to take the leap into the Gammaverse and just may not have transformed yet. Perhaps one of the most prominent is General Thaddeus Ross's tenure as the Red Hulk. And while Ross has been a mainstay of the MCU for years, his alter ego has not made his live-action debut. Unfortunately though, after the tragic passing of William Hurt, who previously played Ross in the Marvel Universe, the likelihood of seeing an on-screen Red Hulk as played by the veteran actor seems bleak, but his presence in the comics warrants mention. While Banner's transformation was an accident and Walters gained her power through a necessary blood transfusion, Ross's was deliberate experimentation as a direct attempt to rival the power of the Hulk. When Ross got angrier, he gets hotter, whereas Banner gets physically stronger, though he was not the only character to take up the mantle of the Red Hulk. For a time, Betty Ross transformed into her own iteration of the Red She-Hulk, and though Liv Tyler's version of the character has not been seen in over a decade now, the reemergence of Tim Roth as the Abomination seems to indicate that Tyler's return is an actual possibility. And now, since Marvel can't run a true Red Hulk storyline due to Hurt's unfortunate passing, maybe a Red She-Hulk is still on the table. While the cast of Gamma characters is incredibly versatile in the comics, the two other figures also currently existing in the MCU that we might see reappear in their full Gamma irradiated form. So who are they? The first is Samuel Stearns, who was set up as the iconic villain The Leader during the third act of the MCU Hulk's first solo outing, again all the way back in 2008. Instead of having his strength augmented by radiation though, the Leader's greatest weapon is his mutated mind. He is regarded as one of the most intelligent individuals on Earth and is as smart as the Hulk is strong. While Marvel managed to explain away the character's disappearance in a short-lived tie-in comic, the Incredible Hulk's cast is currently in flux as of now, and now it's even more possible that any of them might return at any time, including of course the Leader. Seeing the Leader combat either the Hulk or She-Hulk with his mind could be a refreshing way to pose an obstacle against the Hulks that they cannot simply smash, and could challenge Bruce Banner on an intellectual level. The final character that we've already seen before we get into unseen comic book figures is Leonard Samson, who was also not yet seen in the Gamma form as of yet, but was present again in the Incredible Hulk film, if only briefly. Leonard Samson was a highly intelligent Gamma researcher who himself became irradiated, but not in the same unstable degree as that of Bruce Banner. Instead, his Gamma form more closely resembles that of Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, in that he exists in a permanently enhanced physical form while his mental stability is not impacted. In the trailer, we see Walters transforming back and forth between her human form and that of her She-Hulk form, but in the comics she most often exists in a permanent She-Hulk state. And Samson is similar. In the MCU, Bruce Banner was tasked with recreating the super soldier serum via the use of gamma radiation, with Ross believing that this was the key. And if the experiment was a complete success, then the result would most likely resemble that of Samson. While the Hulk's cast of Gamma characters often includes some of his most notorious enemies, he does actually have allies like the likes of Samson within his reach. Another notable ally that the Hulk has called on repeatedly has only alluded to in the films thus far, but is yet to be seen in the flesh. We are talking about Rick Jones, otherwise known as A-Bomb. A-Bomb was saved by Bruce Banner during the accident that caused him to transform into the Hulk in the first place, but he still received a significant dose of gamma radiation as a result of his proximity to the blast, even if it wasn't as much as Banner's. Training under some of the greatest heroes in the world, the then teen Rick Jones grew into a hero that has assisted the likes of the Hulk and even the Avengers on numerous occasions throughout the years, loaning his skills to battling some of Earth's greatest threats. While each of these characters have either been seen or referenced in some way within the MCU, there are still several fan favorites who have yet to make an appearance of any kind, but their inclusion has actually been rumored. Recently, it's been alleged that Scar might have his live-action debut in the She-Hulk series, or rather soon, which is in line with Bruce Banner's current journey as we know it. His storyline from Thor Ragnarok took inspiration from his Planet Hulk comic storyline. Quite famously, as World War Hulk and Planet Hulk is some of my favorite comics. This directly resulted in the debut of Scar as a fan favorite character who might be on the near horizon for the Marvel Universe. In Planet Hulk, much like in the MCU, Hulk ventures to Sakaar, where he takes part in the Grandmaster's gladiatorial arena, though in the comics it was due to an exile, while the Marvel Universe iteration sentenced himself to this fate. Here, he had a son named Scar, who we haven't actually seen yet in live action, but the pieces are in place to reveal that Hulk has yet another strand to his family lineage that we have not yet seen. Seeing the son of Hulk make his live action debut and watching the story tie back into Ragnarok could be a compelling arc that strings together both the past and the future of the Hulk in the MCU. Now though, let's cover a couple more characters who have not yet been seen in the MCU thus far, starting with perhaps one of the Hulk's family's closest allies, Amadeus Cho. Phase 4 seems to revolve heavily around the theme of legacy, as original characters from the dawn of the MCU are leaving their mantles to younger heroes. Seeing as in the new trailer, Bruce Banner seems to be the one conditioning Jennifer Walters to be the one to carry on the Hulk legacy as an Avenger, or at the very least a superhero. The inclusion of Amadeus Cho is currently unclear, but not impossible. Cho, much like Samson and Walters, can retain his intellect even while in his Hulk form, allowing him to balance being physically formidable and a threat there, while also being gifted intellectually. He has even proclaimed himself to be the 7th smartest individual in the Marvel Universe, though the validity of this claim has not yet been verified even in comics. Moving on, one of the final characters that fans have been avidly awaiting is not a standard gamma-irradiated villain in the traditional sense. While each of the aforementioned characters has had their physical strength increased by their exposure to gamma radiation, Carl Creel gained the ability to alter his very physiology on a fundamental level. He can absorb the qualities of any material that he touches, changing his exterior form at a will, which has led to multiple engaging battles between him and the Green Goliath. From earthly metals to stone to even Uru within Mjolnir itself, the Absorbing Man can transform into any substance that he can gain exposure to, making him one of the most unique Gamma cast members to date, and arguably one of the most intriguing inclusions should his appearance ultimately come to fruition. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this vast array of Gamma related characters? Which would you like to see make their debuts in the near future? In which do you think should encounter Bruce Banner, and which should encounter Jennifer Walters? We wanted to make this video in part to show you everything that Marvel has not yet explored concerning the Hulk, and all of the various characters that we believe will begin to show up now that Phase 4 has commenced and She-Hulk begins. As always, my friends, leave your thoughts on these various characters in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and we hope that you have a great day.